The gas effect is probably the most potent status effect in Helldivers 2.
Bro, I'm gonna fart.
No! So when it's combined with a high damage spear, enough stagger to slap a bile titan around, and the ability to close bug holes, you end up with one of the most generally useful support weapons in the game. My name is Commissar Kai, and today I'm going to show y'all why you should speak softly and carry a big pointy stick.
Just the Canadian but special.
War crimes and questionable apologies.
War crimes and good times.
The S-11 Speargun is a support weapon stratagem that was introduced with the Dust Devil's War Bond, and it has somehow been forgotten by most of the fleet despite it being one of the most generally useful support weapon choices. For context, our Big Stick of Freedom is picked less often than something like the belt-fed grenade launcher or even the flamethrower, which, given how often Reddit and YouTube loves to dunk on these weapons for being bad, shocked me about as much as that charger asking to see my PP.
What in Liberty's name is a PP?
PP stands for Punisher Plasma.
Is it a big PP or a little PP?
Why don't you have a look at my PP and see what kind of PP it is?
Okay, let's see your PP.
Yeah, I see you looking at my PP. You can check out my PP by looking down the barrel of this something.
The Speargun is absolutely chocked full of useful stats. It does 650 damage with the projectile and 275 durable damage, all with an armor penetration characteristic of 5, so the lighter side of anti-tank. You might expect that a big pointy stick catapulted with extreme violence and hatred would be doing ballistic damage, but you'd be wrong. The Speargun only does gas damage, even before the actual explosive has gone off. And I know this because I take my job very seriously and stress test everything before I present it to y'all. Can you survive being shot with the Speargun?
No!
But
You know the ballistic damage, you gorilla?
it doesn't do ballistic damage, it only does gas damage.
Okay, but what about this?
He survived! He survived! It works!
So
I knew
Liberty.
it! It's only gas damage! This means that anything you hit or over-penetrate with the Speargun will be afflicted with the gas status effect. This effect will confuse enemies, do 25 damage per second for 6 seconds, and has an armor penetration of 6. So it'll affect anything that is vulnerable to it, so no factory striders. And this is not counting the gas cloud left behind after the spear detonates. The Speargun also, quietly, has some of the highest stagger force in the game at 80, which is about 30 higher than the recoilless rifle and about 20 shy of a 500 kg. But since I know numbers are not good for Helldiver brains, I'll make it easier. It can stagger pretty much anything, and will let you bully bile titans to no end. But we're not done. The Speargun also has 30 demolition force, both on the projectile and the explosive. For some reason, you can only close spawners with the explosive bit, but the spear itself, which is apparently made from a Helldiver that likes deviled eggs a little too much, can destroy enemy Tesla towers. You know, it feels like if a vile fart can take down Terry's evil twin, the anti-material rifle should be able to do it too. But anyway, the gas effect and demolition force for destroying structures comes from this little can strapped near the pointy end, which is packed with Raid Shadow Legends. Back in the twilight years of 7 months and 100,000 subscribers ago, Raid was the first big sponsor for my channel. Their support was a rite of passage for my career as a YouTuber, helping me feed editor Swigs at least half of a sandwich while he's locked in the editing cave. And now, with their continued support, we're gonna take that sandwich away and give it to a children's hospital during our Save the Children event in June. Raid is celebrating their 7-year anniversary with an all-new faction based around ancient Greek champions, the Argonauts. They're also partnering up with Assassin's Creed, so all players can get access to that Ezio Auditore filler. Additionally, you should be using my link in the description and pinned comment to get your hands on the legendary champion, Korkmar the Devourer, and epic champion, Gallipo the Recluse. Hey, I could actually pronounce those ones. These are both great supportive champions for keeping Ezio alive while he delivers righteous judgment to your enemies. If you start a new account now and use the promo code RAID7, you'll get access to Pelops the Victor. Speed, our Jeopardy host and project manager, has been playing Raid for about 9 months now, even when he's supposed to be working. And he praised Pelops for hitting like a 500 kg with the right support while being an incredible tank without it. Between Pelops and Ezio, you'll be all set for damage through the early and mid game. So celebrate 7 years of curing your boy support them by downloading Raid today. Now that you know what the Speargun can do and our charitable endeavors have been funded, it's okay, Swigs, I'll get you another sandwich. Let's talk about some of the most interesting breakpoints and cool things you can do with the S-11 Speargun. We'll go by each faction, starting off with the bugs. The Speargun is an absolute monster on the bug front. Its raw power can help shut down bug brushes, it can bully the heavier enemies, and allows you to accurately take down bug nests from pretty much any distance. Plus, it has some really cool synergies with certain pieces of kit, especially the—
Hey, it's the Gundam, yoink! My name's Gundamboi Kai, and today I'm gonna be telling you about how to use a spear gun on the bug front. Now, we already know that this gun will completely annihilate the enemies of democracy. Each portion of the bugs on this front won't be able to survive a single hit, but I'd have to note it's most effective against something like the Alpha Brood Commander, as it has enough firepower to one-shot them in the head, taking off that fascist dome. Especially if you're the host of the game, the Brood Commander will summon a lot of his babies after you, so if you fire this thing right at them, you can take everybody out in one swing. Even though it has a lot of power in one shot, it ain't too bad at dealing with crowd situations neither. Fire the harpoon gun and lock down paths where the enemy's approaching, making them easy pickings for your teammates or just to set up a strategy, making this weapon a popular pick for something like the Rupture Strain. Even though those Rupture warriors are notorious for having that medium armor, they're just as squishy when the gas hits them. Oh god, what am I supposed to do against the Hive Guard? Spear gun! But there's a lot of ways to kill something like a charger, but let's talk about one of the more effective ways, which is shooting him in the butt. When you shoot a charger in the butt, it bypasses that hard shell, allowing it to hit the gooey insides, forcing the charger into a bleed out state. And since it takes way more damage at this core, it means you'll only have to spend one round to take him down.
I'm out of timeout now, because I'm a good guy.
Oh,
So
Gundam!
Gundamboi.
I hit him right in the butthole. He bled out and died.
What did that
Sorry,
hit?
I got him.
That's so weird though.
I got him right in the bug hole.
But I don't think the Behemoth Charger got that notice, as when you shoot him in the butt, it will not die. On a follow-up test, we shot him again in his big old maple syrup sack, and he still didn't flinch. All he did was cough up that orange muck, which isn't a true bleed-out state. After a few minutes, we decided to put Betsy down. It will be truly bleeding out if you see it gushing up this green gunk. However, it seems to be doing just fine against its other variants like the Rupture Charger, as it still bleeds out normally. Even up against something like the Sport Charger, it still works just fine. But if the back door isn't of use, then you can always aim for the Charger's leg, as it only takes 3 shots to the leg so that you can finally get to that yummy flesh underneath, allowing you to follow up with another spear or just taking him down with your primary. If you ever get caught going up against an Impaler, just keep in mind that that crown's gonna require several follow-up rounds to take him down. But due to that major bald spot on his head, you might as well pull out your primary and take him down that way. But if you can't see his shiny chrome dome, you can take 3 shots to his leg and finish him off with your primary. Possibly one of the worst matchups for the spear gun would have to be the Bile Titan, as it has a lot of armor and health on every point of its body. Combining that with the high amount of durability it has and health, you'll be spending more rounds overall. If you gotta go up against something like a Bile Titan, you should aim for their head. This is one of the most efficient ways to kill a Bile Titan. It takes around only 5 to 6 shots to put them down for good. But it ain't too bad at defending itself against Bile Titans, as you can silence them every time they're about to barf. This makes it real easy for the spear gun to do follow-up shots on that crusty head of his, and with firepower this strong, you can save yourself and your teammates from becoming the next casualty. Otherwise, aim for that head. There's one enemy you should never use the spear gun against, but I can't remember what it was. But that's it from me. I'll see you guys next time.
Give me that back. Sweet Liberty, I don't sound like that, do I? Why is everyone impersonating me, damn it? Anyway, Gundam and I figured out a few more things about how useful the spear gun can be against the bugs. I'll cover these more in depth during our Loadouts Synergies segment, but basically the spear gun pairs really well with the crisper sidearm. Since it has a stagger force which is higher than the damn urchin, you can stagger Bile Titans over and over while you grill them with the crisper. This also works really great against chargers, since 1 spear bolt and 1 can of hairspray is enough to bring down one, and kill all the greens that wandered over to see the show. Okay, we've talked about the spear gun's best faction, so now let's go over its worst. The spear gun isn't bad against the squids, but it ain't great either. It really suffers from some poor breakpoints, so let's go over them. Obviously, the spear gun is great for purging the voter rolls, since tear gas in unruly crowds is a time-honored tradition of managed democracy. But its direct damage falls short. It cannot one-tap overseers of the Q-tip or flying variety to the body, since their ablative armor takes a lot of the hit for them. Given that this is a single-shot weapon without that quick of a reload speed, this is really not great. It can can take them out in one headshot or one backpack shot to the flying assholes, but so can the Deadeye, which is much better suited for this role. It'll disorient flesh mobs, but turning them back into hamburger meat is kind of like, what does Gundam call it? Birthing a cow with a spoon? Something like that. It takes a really long time and a lot of ammo, so it's just not worth it. It can bring down harvesters in 3 bolts to their hip, which is okay on paper, but landing those shots while dealing with the wall of meat and between its shields recharging is just too much of a hassle if you ask me. Plus, there are other weapons which are just much better suited for this role, including a couple of primaries. But the most painful one for me was that it takes 3 spear bolts to bring down a stingray. Since these enemies are both disruptive and dangerous, needing to let it do 3 gun runs on you before you can kill it with your support weapon just isn't very good. It's also worthless against Leviathans for what I assume are fairly obvious reasons. Getting through 15,000 health with solidified flatulence is not a great idea. It can take out the evil Terry clones, and it's very good for clearing out clan meetings. But so is the Eruptor, which is also much better against Overseers and flesh mobs. The Deadeye or Plasma Accelerator are both much better against Overseers than the Speargun, and the Eruptor does basically the same job when it comes to base destruction. I can't think of any really good reason to bring the Speargun to this front where you can just take other sources of gas for the crowds. Gas grenades or the orbital gas strike will do the Speargun's job better against the autocracy. If the Speargun is S tier on bugs and a lowish C tier on squids, then it's a solid A tier against the bots. It has similar breakpoints to the railgun, trading a bit of damage and armor penetration for the gas effect and demolition force. So if you like the railgun or the AMR against the clankers, then you'll get along fantastically with the S-11. But there is some kind of red monster thing out there that really loves the Speargun against the bots. So I figured I'd let him tell y'all about all the cool stuff you can do against this faction.
Hello everyone, my name is Red Monster Thing, but you can call me Red. And today, Commissar Kai has asked me to talk about my favorite support weapon, the Speargun. Now, I love the Speargun for a number of reasons, but my favorite faction to take the Speargun against is the Automatons specifically. Against the bots, it has a ton of extremely fun breakpoints. Namely, it can one-shot Devastators to the chest, Rocket Striders, Hulks to the eye, and even close Fabricators. But my favorite part about the Speargun isn't just its oppressive damage. The gas confuses nearby enemies and completely melts troopers, creating a cloud of destruction and pure chaos that turns the bullets away from you and back towards the enemy. Say, even if you miss a Hulk's weak spot the first time, the gas will often confuse it enough to let it sit still, allowing you to line up a shot easily without any retaliation. Though, that's not all. Even up against War Striders, you can stagger them indefinitely until you run out of ammo. Or if you have good aim, kill it in 2 well-placed shots to the eye or 3 shots to the joint. Of course, the Speargun will obviously destroy troopers on a direct hit, but if you instead shoot at the ground, all of the troopers near the gas will die after a short delay. But one of the most important parts of the Speargun is the scope. And unlike the railgun, the scope on the Speargun is very simplistic, and it lets you easily line up shots on Hulks and even Devastators with very little clutter. It is especially important when you're trying to hit a gunship, which you can take down a gunship if you hit the engine with 2 shots. It's kind of frustrating to hit that weak spot though, since you have to lead your shots and make sure the angle is right. It's also a decent option for destroying the chin guns on Factory Striders. And lastly, the Speargun can one-shot cyborgs to the head and can destroy vents on a Vox engine in 1 shot each. But that's all I have to say about the Speargun, and thank you Commissar Kai for having me.
I always love hearing Helldivers talk about their favorite toys. Y'all go check out the Red Monster Thing if you haven't already. He does a lot of good work when it comes to breaking down weapons. Now that you know the factions, the breakpoints, and the stats, let's talk about how the S-11 fits into loadouts, because there's some really cool synergies that you can use to elevate this fantastic support weapon even further. I'll give y'all one for the bots and one for the bugs, since squids don't have noses to smell the liberation. Against the bugs, the Speargun is great at jamming up choke points and taking out all your greens before they have a chance to become a problem. It's also sporting that crazy high stagger force. So there's a couple of things we can do to take advantage of these 2 facts. The first is pairing it with the crisper sidearm, which you'll pick up in the Freedom's Flame War Bond. Your pocket hairspray has always been pretty good against the Reds because fire, both the stream and the effect, has heavy penetration. Couple this with the direct damage of your spear gun shot and the tick damage of the gas effect, and you'll be tearing down the biggest enemies without any need for dedicated anti-tank solutions, while keeping the hordes of chaff pinned down and burning. It's a really strong pairing. And since our spear gun can close bug holes on both chargers and in nests, we don't need to worry about using our grenades for that most sacred duty, meaning we're free to take some of the more fun options. The G10 Incendiary comes to mind to double down on the status effects, but the more interesting option is to take either cluster grenades, which you get in the Desert Stormer's War Bond anyway. These got quite a bit better recently since they had their armor penetration increased and you get more of them than you used to. But another option that I quite enjoy is Freedom's Jumping Bean, the Arc Grenade, which is in the Control Group War Bond. God, y'all, I think we might be getting too many War Bonds. I think most Helldivers are either scared of these, rightfully so. Oh no! Don't know they exist or think they're much worse than they are because of a very annoying bug. For some reason, these grenades do not count kill streaks accurately, but as you can see here, they can clean up an absurd amount of bots and bugs on their own. They last a long time, you get 6 of them, and they can even damage heavies, stacking more status effects into our build. For bugs, try taking the spear gun with the crisper and use these as your crowd control and anti-red answer. Bring the supply pack so you never run out of anger to hurl at the enemy. Bring a primary that's on the ammo hungry side, like the Breaker Incendiary, Smallwort, or the Coyote. Cluster arc grenades for more horde clear. And for your last 2 stratagems, bring the 500 kg and the orbital rail cannon strike. You'll have more than enough horde clear, status effects, and heavy firepower to handle any amount of bugs on any of their sub-factions. It's a really strong way to play. For bots, I like pairing the spear gun with the Amendment, because this weapon is my new baby. I bring the Ultimatum because War Striders and Vox engines are annoying. Seriously, Airheads, stop spamming these enemies, please. Bring arc grenades since your spear gun is really good at closing fabricators, especially the big ones, and taking down side objectives, so you don't need your grenades for that. These grenades can pretty much kill all the greens and blues that a bot drop brings, making them very useful. The Hellbomb backpack for board clear, and Randy and the Eagle airstrike for more AT support. This is a well-rounded loadout that can take on any objective and hold the line when needed. But really, if you already have a good AMR railgun loadout, just try slotting in the spear gun instead. Its general utility makes life a lot easier. And there you have it, everything you need to know about the spear gun and some of its synergies. Thanks again to Raid for sponsoring this channel. Check out my link in the description to grab your free stuff. But until next time, this is Commissar Kai, signing out.
Excuse me, Impale, you're kind of blocking the way.
I went to space!
Move, you big fat...
Oh, no!
He killed... Alright, well, he destroyed it.
Oh, it's okay. I landed on my head, which is the hardest part of my body.